Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm the Don, the Antichrist of the IWC. I'm the one and only DJ Storms, of course. Mr. Controversy, the operator of the best damn Twitter known to mankind. But of course, you already know that. And of course, if you were an intelligent individual, you would know that this is, of course, the greatest fucking show on Earth. The Lightning Flash Update. The LFU. The only place that you want to be to spend your Saturday afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I greatly appreciate it, as per usual. Of course, me being my cocky, narcissistic self. Just gotta do that. Just gotta touch it up just a little bit. Just gotta touch it up just a little bit. But regardless of the narcissism, we got a lot to talk about here on the Lightning Flash Update. We got a lot of reports. How many reports I got on tap? I think I got about 8 major reports on tap. We're reviewing 5 weekly shows. I did not review Monday Night Raw. Celebrating my sister's graduation. If you're watching, shout out to you. I have not watched Raw, or I've not reviewed Raw specifically. I've watched it. I watched it. I just didn't take any notes on it for the LFU specifically today. But I did watch it. Some thoughts on it. I would say it was fairly decent. Nothing special. Nothing overly exciting. I really don't give them the benefit of the doubt going into SummerSlam, especially what we saw on the 19th of July. But regardless, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off with the news, rumors, and reports. But first, before we start off, please follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at the DJ Storms. Of course, please add me on Facebook. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, that is. All links are in the description if you want to go check that out. Also, if you missed the rewind for the horror show at Extreme Rules 2020, I got that playing in the background. If you missed that, that is currently up on the channel right now. That's over 150 views, and that's over 30 likes. You guys killed it there. I completely tore that show to shreds. So if you want to go watch me rage, I mean, more so than I usually do on the Lightning Flash Update, but if you really want to see me rage, it was probably my most rageful video since the rewind for WrestleMania 36 back in April. So if you want to go check that out, the link is also in the description. Also, shout out to ECW Chris 2408. He had me on his channel for an exclusive sit-down interview. It went about 35 minutes, and him and me, we talked about everything regarding the DJ Storms brand, my motives behind the brand, dealing with the hate, the origins behind the character. So if you really want to see what the man behind the character is really like, and I really haven't showcased too much of that in my 3-year tenure here on YouTube, but if you really want to go and check out who the man behind the gimmick is, who the man behind the controversy is, his channel link is also in the description. His video actually just premiered. If you want to go check that out, please do. And then, of course, you have to like the video. Gotta like the video. I got goals. So you gotta like the video. Hit that thumbs up. And when you hit the thumbs up, you gotta comment down below. Because when you comment down below, that way it sparks up the conversation. Gets people talking when you comment down below. And when you comment down below, you gotta hit the subscribe button. Come on. Trying to grow, trying to expand. If you haven't already done so, hit the damn subscribe button. Come on. You realize what I do? I spend 2 hours talking about professional wrestling every single Saturday. You know what I could be doing on a Saturday? I could still be sleeping on a Saturday. I record this earlier in the morning. But when you subscribe, you gotta hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time when you're going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination. This beautiful mustache. No one does it better. Everyone wants a piece of the Stormsmeister. Just got to take a little drink right here. My ice water in my EY mug. Very nice. But anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion and the advertisements. When we get straight into the festivities here in the Lightning Flash update, as I stated before, a lot to talk about. Loaded video as per usual. We're going to start off with the news, rumors, and reports. And speaking of news, rumors, and reports and the horror show, Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Vince McMahon actually changed the ending of the Raw Women's Championship match at Extreme Rules. What a shocker. Second time he's done this with Asuka. He stated, and I quote, "Asuka was supposed to win the match and Vince changed his mind. I think it was the day of the show, but it was basically a last-minute change," end quote. Yeah, Vince changes his mind. Grass is green, sky is blue, and the beach is hot. What else is new? What else is new? Here's what I'm wondering. If you wanted to continue the Sasha Banks-Asuka storyline, if you wanted to continue that storyline, you realize you could have easily have just done the ref pinning Sasha Banks, Asuka pinning Sasha Banks, and the ref counting to 3, but Sasha got her foot on the rope, and the ref didn't see it, but he still called the match anyway. That's how you could have continued it. But instead, we got an overly produced, overly convoluted ending that everyone was talking about, and no one was talking about how good the match was. If Asuka was just going to win, and then you were going to go forth with Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam, I said that you should not be going forth with Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam, and you should be waiting till WrestleMania 37. At least that's a possibility to have a crowd, and you could do the match there with Sasha Banks winning the title there. I wouldn't have minded that, but I would have much rather have taken Sasha and Bayley at SummerSlam rather than this overly produced, overly convoluted ending. I don't understand Vince McMahon's mentality. This is the second time that he's done this with Asuka. Shit like this is going to hamper down Asuka's Raw Women's Championship title reign. Are you telling me that you couldn't have done Asuka and Kairi for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam? We're probably going to get Asuka and Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam regardless. We could very well get Kairi Sane challenging Bayley for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship based on what happened on Raw. That could happen. Even though it was reported that Kairi Sane just worked her last set of tapings, but then again, I'm not sure how Kairi Sane is going to work out her travel issues right now with what's going on. So we could see Kairi Sane and Bayley at SummerSlam, and that could be Kairi Sane's swan song. I would much rather take that than Bayley versus Sasha this early. Or Bayley versus anyone else. We got Bayley and Nikki Cross next week on SmackDown for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. But I really don't understand why an ending always needs to be changed last minute. I don't understand what the motive was. You realize that this hampered down the match. This took away from the great match that was Sasha Banks and Asuka. And it made Sasha and Bayley look like complete jokes. Sasha and Bayley are much more than just comedic bullshit. Oh, I hated it. I hated it, and a lot of people did. Speaking of Kairi Sane, yes, PW Insider reported that the Raw tapings from this past Monday were indeed Kairi Sane's last appearances in WWE. She's expected to go back to Japan to be with her husband. The report also states that she's leaving on good terms with the company and will remain part of WWE's extended family. Now, I'm not sure if these tapings for Raw specifically are her last appearances. I'm not sure if she did a taping for SummerSlam. I'm not sure if she's going to be on SummerSlam's card, because she did tease her being ready for Asuka, and she wanted a Raw Women's Championship match. But now she just pinned Bayley on Raw, and now we could possibly see her challenge for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. If that's the case, I think that and Sasha and Asuka, I think those two would be two very good Women's Championship matches for SummerSlam. I think those would be rather intriguing, seeing how that works out, seeing that they're continuing the feud with the Kabuki Warriors and Sasha and Bayley, the Golden Role models. But one thing I do want to mention before I move on from this report is the fact that states that she's leaving on good terms with the company and will remain a part of WWE's extended family. Now, she's leaving because she wants to be with her husband. I just want to pitch this theory. How many of you think that she would still be on good terms with the company and would remain a part of their extended family if she decided to go to All Elite Wrestling? You think that WWE cares about stardom? Think WWE cares about Kairi Sane wanting to be with her husband? No. But what if Kairi Sane went to All Elite Wrestling? What if Kairi Sane went there and started competing with Big Swole and Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Diamante, and Nyla Rose? What would have happened then? You think that WWE would still be on good terms with Kairi Sane? No, because they're petty. Matter of fact, if Kairi Sane had gone to All Elite Wrestling, I guarantee you right now that Asuka would have probably lost the Raw Women's Championship by now. Because the only reason why Asuka's Raw Women's Champion is because of Kairi Sane. The fact that she's leaving and WWE wants to shove it in Kairi Sane's face, she doesn't even know it. Asuka would not be Raw Women's Champion if Kairi Sane was not on her way out of the company. Plain and simple. Moving on to another report from Dave Meltzer. He actually reported that Apollo Crews and MVP didn't take place because Apollo Crews indeed tested positive for COVID-19. I hope that he's recovering well. But here's what I don't understand. Why couldn't you have just said that he had tested positive for COVID? Why do you have to act like you're above the virus? I did an entire rant on that on the Rewind for Extreme Rules, which I posted on Monday. Why do you have to act like you're above the virus? Why do you have to act like everything in the world is non-existent? First, you're the only wrestling company in the world. Then the COVID-19 protocol. Is very lax, very, very non-existent. You don't believe in it. You don't think it's real. You think it's just a strong flu. Yet you fail to acknowledge why anyone is wearing masks. You fail to acknowledge why there's fucking plexiglass everywhere around ringside. Acknowledging the issues in the world are important. They are important. Dave Meltzer actually reported a lot, including why certain NXT call-ups have not been used yet, specifically Dijakovic and Chelsea Green, but there's another one who I didn't even expect to be called up, and that's Arturo Ruiz. Dave Meltzer reported that Paul Heyman's departure threw a lot of plans into disarray, one plan specifically being to call up NXT superstars. Chelsea Green, Dominic Dijakovic were two specific names planned to be called up, as well as Arturo Ruiz, but Heyman's firing delayed those plans. Here's what I want to ask. I almost dropped my pen. I'm not even going to edit that out. Here's what I want to know. I actually want to know, why are you planning on calling these guys up so early? You don't need Chelsea Green on the main roster. You don't need Dominic Dijakovic on the main roster. You don't need Arturo Ruiz on the main roster. When was the last time Arturo Ruiz was used in NXT? I can't even remember that. Probably last year in October or November. Why is Chelsea Green being talked about to go up to the main roster? Why is she being talked about? Why is she in the conversation to go up to the main roster? Chelsea Green hasn't even gotten started in NXT. Neither has Dijakovic. Dijakovic's been with NXT for 2 years, yeah, but he hasn't done anything. It's not like he's Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was with NXT for about 3, 4, 5 years before he went up. And he only won one championship, the NXT championship. But Dominic Dijakovic hasn't done anything. You already have the talent on Raw. You're just not utilizing it correctly. SmackDown, that would make the most sense. But again, Dominic Dijakovic hasn't really done anything in NXT. He could have been in top contention to take the North American title off of Keith Lee. Matter of fact, I wish they would have done that, as opposed to Keith Lee relinquishing the North American title, which I got a lot to say on. Chelsea Green. Why did you break up Chelsea Green and Robert Stone? You had something decent there. Chelsea Green hasn't been used in NXT ever since the breakup with Robert Stone. And if Heyman's firing threw her call-up into disarray, why didn't you continue to utilize her in NXT? The women's division on Raw and SmackDown right now is terrible. They are in probably the worst possible scenario that you could possibly be in. Raw right now is better than SmackDown, obviously. They got the better talent. But Raw, in this type of scenario right now, outside of Asuka and Sasha and Bayley and Kyrie, those are the only 4 women that you're actually focusing on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, Ruby Riott may have gotten a win. Shayna Baszler might be being built up. Bianca Belair might be being built up. But ultimately, Shayna, Ruby, and Bianca aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Neither would Chelsea Green. If Chelsea Green was put on SmackDown, she would literally have no competition, mainly because of the fact that Sasha and Bayley, they're building their storyline, and Bayley's not losing that SmackDown Live Women's Championship until Sasha Banks is ready. Until WWE deems that storyline ready to commence, whether it be with the crowd or no crowd. Arturo Ruiz. Who's Arturo Ruiz? When has anyone even cared about Arturo Ruiz? So Heyman's firing through all of those call-ups into disarray, but meanwhile, those call-ups should not have even been in the conversation. Why aren't you using the people on Raw and SmackDown? I get that you want to push new stars, but you already have new stars that have failed to be pushed by Vince McMahon that you need to focus on first before you bring up those individuals. So I don't understand why they were even in the conversation to begin with when they haven't even done anything in NXT. Arturo Ruiz, who's Arturo Ruiz? Dominik Dijakovic and Chelsea Green didn't even get started in NXT. I'm still wondering where Chelsea Green is. She hasn't been seen in 2 months. Speaking of not being seen, Bianca Belair and her absence off of television was specifically due to a firing that took place on Black Wednesday. Listen to this. According to journalist Tom Colohue, Sarah Logan, who was fired on Black Wednesday, was reportedly set to feud with Bianca Belair as the Street Profits were feuding with the Viking Raiders. Here's what I want to know as far as this relates. Why should someone else's firing determine whether you utilize someone on television or not? You should have had multiple plans set up for Bianca Belair. Okay, Sarah Logan got fired. Why isn't Bianca Belair being used on television? Just because Sarah Logan got fired? Why are they being intertwined with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? That feud was terrible outside of that decent Raw Tag Team title match, outside of that decent Raw Tag Team title match that we got on Monday Night Raw, when was it? I think it was on the 22nd, June 22nd. Outside of that, what in that feud was worth investing our time in? Nothing. It was an embarrassment. It devalued both teams. It made both teams look like jokes. And it devalued the tag team division, the non-existent tag team division, and it devalued the tag team championships. So much so, I was saying I would much rather have the entire tag team division on Monday Night Raw abolished. Goes to show you where WWE sees tag team wrestling on the card. Why do you have to have Bianca Belair and Sarah Logan tied up in that? Why couldn't have Bianca Belair branched out and done her own thing? Why did she have to be off of television for 3 months? Why didn't you start building her up to eventually win the Raw Women's Championship at a later date? Bianca Belair realistically should be in top contention to win the Raw Women's Championship off of Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania 37. Now, they could still do that. And they could still build her up over the course of the next 8 months. They could still do that. But you should have already been doing that. You should have already had multiple plans set up for Bianca Belair. If you didn't have any plans set for Bianca Belair outside of a shitty program with Sarah Logan, but then Sarah Logan got fired, if you did not have multiple plans set up for someone like Bianca Belair, then you should not have called her up. And this is WWE's problem. They call up people without any plans. They don't have any plans for anyone. The only people that they have long-term plans for are people like probably McIntyre, probably Sasha and Bayley, probably Randy Orton. Outside of those people right now, they don't have long-term plans for anyone. Maybe Roman Reigns to eventually win the Universal Championship, because you know that Vince McMahon can't get enough of Roman Reigns. He has his hands so far up Roman Reigns' ass that whenever Roman Reigns brushes his teeth, Vince McMahon gets a manicure. Someone else's firing should not determine whether you utilize someone on television or not, especially someone like Bianca Belair. And the only reason why, the only other reason why I could think Bianca Belair was off television for so long is because Vince McMahon sees Bianca Belair and she doesn't fit She does not fit Vince McMahon's mold of a women's wrestler. Because Bianca Belair can actually wrestle, and all you need to do is look at the color of her skin as well. Moving on. I actually got a report from Ringside News. Speaking of turning, we have The Fiend reportedly going babyface. Ringside News reported, and I quote, "The Fiend is going to be a babyface and kill all other babyfaces again." End I quote. This will be a major storyline heading into SummerSlam as Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt are set to collide for a third time at the biggest party of the summer. What sense does this make? What sense does this make? This character, the Fiend character, just the presentation alone of the Fiend character does not scream babyface. The presentation alone of the Fiend is something straight out of a fucking horror movie. Something straight out of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Something straight out of fucking Jason. So, I don't understand where WWE thinks that a babyface character is going to work out for Bray Wyatt. Remember when Bray Wyatt was the Eater of Worlds and he tag teamed with Matt Hardy? He showed up at WrestleMania 34 and he helped Matt Hardy win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and we actually saw a great WrestleMania moment with Bray Wyatt doing his arm stretched out pose, and Matt Hardy doing the delete pose, and they became a tag team, the Deleters of Worlds, and they won the Raw Tag Team titles. But WWE didn't go all in with that because that was a period where WWE gave up on tag team wrestling. That was the start of WWE giving up on tag team wrestling. That was when Bray Wyatt had the opportunity to be a really good babyface as the Eater of Worlds with Matt Hardy. But this is a completely different ballgame. And the only other reason that I can think of, and a lot of people have talked about this, it could probably be because WWE is lazy. And they don't have any top baby faces on SmackDown for The Fiend to feud with as a heel outside of Daniel Bryan, Matt Riddle, and Jeff Hardy. And Daniel Bryan realistically should have been the guy to take the title off of Bray Wyatt. They should have had plans for Daniel Bryan to win the Universal title off of Bray Wyatt either at WrestleMania or after WrestleMania. But they didn't do that. They did not do that. And they elected to go with Roman by having Bill Goldberg beat The Fiend, and Bill Goldberg would go on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But then Roman Reigns decided to stay home, and good on him, and then in-slid Braun Strowman, who lucked into that position. So Bray Wyatt's going to be babyface, and WWE is seemingly going to think, oh, well, problem solved, because we got nothing but heels. We got nothing but heels on SmackDown, so there you go. Babyface Bray Wyatt. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. You need to create new babyfaces. You need to create new stars for your main event caliber wrestlers like Bray Wyatt to work with. This isn't going to work out. It's not going to work out. Dave Meltzer, this actually came out the other day. Dave Meltzer reported that Edge and Daniel Bryan have reportedly entered roles on the WWE creative team. Daniel Bryan actually praised Grand Metalik and Big E. They actually got pushes. On SmackDown last night. Now, I'm not sure how much pull they really have in creative, but ultimately, you know what I see? You know what I think of when I read this? I think of two scapegoats. Two scapegoats that Vince McMahon is going to blame when the ratings don't go above a 2 million. Guarantee you that these two individuals are going to be looked at as scapegoats by Vince McMahon. It doesn't matter at the end of the day who is on the creative team. It doesn't matter at the end of the day who's an executive director, who's head of creative, who's whatever. Vince McMahon still has the last call at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. And I have no faith in Vince McMahon. Just look at WWE's track record. Look at their track record. That's all you need to look at as far as the overall creative direction of the WWE goes. The WWE's track record speaks for itself, and they have a track record where 99% of the time, they are always going to spit in your face. Just how it is. Just how it is. Speaking of Raw and SmackDown, this is my final report before we get into the weekly show reviews. Bodyslam.net's Chris Dees, shout out to him. He wrote an article about how WWE is operating under pressure as we speak. First and foremost, the writers are merely doing their job in whatever way possible to keep Vince McMahon happy. And then, of course, Vince McMahon is reportedly not stressing about the declining ratings. Really. How much longer is Fox and USA going to give WWE the benefit of the doubt before they say enough is enough? You're not stressing? Vince McMahon was in the news all week this week, actually. First, it was the declining ratings, and he's not stressed about them. Then he wants to build new stars. See how long that lasts. See how long that lasts. I guarantee you, before we get into this report, I guarantee you that this report of Vince McMahon wanting to build new stars, I guarantee you this ends by SummerSlam. I guarantee you an article comes out from some source, whether it be Brad Shepard, Wrestle News, Cultaholic, Body Slam, Sean Ross Sapp, hey Sean, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez. I guarantee you some report from some source comes out saying that Vince McMahon has no desire to push new stars anymore. We'll see how long the New Stars initiative lasts. But the article states, and I quote, from Bodyslam.net, and I quote, a ringside news source recently disclosed that WWE is feeling the pressure regarding their sinking ratings. They said, shit runs downhill, which is making for a very stressful work environment, as some network executives are taking their frustrations out on anyone that they can underneath them. The backstage staff are said to be walking on eggshells at all times. Ringside News have been told that the story that Fox and USA Network are okay with waiting for people to come back into arenas is bullshit. It has been believed for months now that WWE bringing fans back to arenas will encourage more viewers at home and a resurgence in viewer numbers. However, the networks seem to have lost patience with WWE and want the situation sorted out ASAP. End quote. Good on Fox and USA. Good on Fox and USA. Oh, by the way, it has nothing to do with the fact that a pandemic is going on. You take a look at what happened with All Elite Wrestling and NXT. All Elite Wrestling just peaked over 800,000. They were doing 800, 900,000 before the pandemic hit. NXT was also at a consistent level before the pandemic hit, and they still are. AEW and NXT, they've been just fine. They've been just fine. But Raw and SmackDown, they've continued to dip lower and lower and lower. It's not because of the pandemic. It's because the shows are that bad. It's because the shows are atrocious. It's because the shows are not good. That is an indisputable fact, whether you like it or not. And whether you like me or you hate me, you know that I'm right. You know that I'm right. Ringside News. If this is true, good. Good. I hope that Fox and USA are going to be able to initiate a change. I hope that they cancel their deals with the WWE, to be quite honest with you. Vince McMahon is going to have to learn the hard way. I hope that we get ratings below a 1.5 million. I hope we get 1.4, 1.3, 1.2. I hope they dip under 1 million. I really do. But that wraps up the news, rumors, and reports. Moving on to the weekly shows. Again, I did not watch Raw, so we're going to jump right into AEW Dark. Standard episode. Very standard episode of AEW Dark. I don't really know when they're going to start putting forth actual feuds and actual storylines rather than just enhancement matches. But we did get a couple of interesting scenarios here on AEW Dark. Rashea Chanel took on Hikaru Shida. Shida wins with the Falcon Arrow. Rashea Chanel, oh my God. She is just as bad as Alicia Fox. She is terrible. She was out of position numerous times in this match. I feel bad for Shida for having to work with someone as terrible as Rashea Chanel. She is bad. Alicia Fox type bad. We had Kip Sabian versus Corey Hollis. Sabian won here, showing some aggression really early. Swift kicks. We had Hollis coming in with an enziguri off the middle rope. Sabian ended up winning with the Deathly Hallows. And he says, you keep on putting me in the ring with bums, sort it out. And that was that. Brandy Rhodes and Allie, they teased what was to be revealed to be a Women's Tag Team Cup tournament. Supposedly that will be a reoccurring thing. Now, I have no problem with the Women's Tag Team Cup tournament for multiple reasons. Number one, it gets a spotlight on the women's division. Number two, it actually gives Tony Khan and the executives an opportunity to scout new women, like Ivelisse. We had Ivelisse on Dynamite, bringing in new women. And I have no problem with that. Spotlight on the women's division, bringing in new women. It becomes a reoccurring thing. I got no problem with that. It's a very nice spotlight for the women's division. It's a very nice spotlight to boost up the legitimacy of the women's division. I got no issue with that. But one thing I do not want to see, I do not want to see them introduce women's tag team championships. We all saw how that worked out with the WWE, number one. And number two, you're already working with the limited roster as it is. So you're going to introduce women's tag team titles when you barely even have enough competition for your singles champion in the women's division. So I got no problem with the tag team tournament. I got no problem with the spotlight on the division and scouting new women, bringing new women in, but no women's tag team championship. It's not needed. It's not wanted. It is unnecessary. Plain and simple. And the only people that would actually want this are the fucking stans and the feminists that hate on AEW's women's division just because, oh, they're only doing one women's match per show. Oh, we want women's tag team championships. Look at what WWE's doing. You know, these fucking losers. We had Best Friends versus Brady Pierce and Sabby, a.k.a. Tino Sabatelli from NXT. He's no longer with NXT. So we had Brady Pierce, very nice spine buster to Chuck Taylor. Sabby came in, aggressive as ever. Quick tags before Trent got the hot tag. Big swinging DDT to Sabby. Shining Wizard to the back for a 2. Sabby caught Trent with a power slam. Taylor came in, soul food spear combination to Brady Pierce. Double Piscados and the strong 0 to Pierce for the win. Decent tag team match right here. Sabby looked impressive. And the Best Friends rebound off of their tag team title loss. Ricky Starks versus Will Hobbs. Hobbs impressed here. We had a beautiful spine buster. Starks came in with the neck breaker, and then he was able to boost Will Hobbs up for the Butterfly Dominator for the win. Ricky Starks actually had an effect on what happened later on, and he actually joined forces with someone, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Aaron Solo versus Scorpio Sky. Aaron Solo here, he was impressive for the small amount of offense that he got. Tornado enziguri for a 2. We had Sky with a beautiful drop kick, jumping flatliner for a 2. Roll through double stomp by Aaron Solo. Solo with the swift kicks and a sunset flip power bomb into the buckle for another close 2. TKO by Sky for the win. Another decent match right here, nothing too special. Aaron Solo looked good. I would definitely sign Aaron Solo. Scorpio Sky, he's definitely in top contention to take that TNT championship off of Cody. Matter of fact, I would not be surprised if Scorpio Sky is facing off against Cody for the TNT championship come All Out too. I definitely wouldn't mind that, and I would definitely love to see Scorpio Sky against Cody for the TNT championship at All Out too. And I wouldn't mind if Scorpio Sky wins. Scorpio Sky has a bright future. I would capitalize on Scorpio Sky now. Kylan King versus Diamante. None too special here. This was pretty much a showcase match for Diamante. Diamante wins with a beautiful code red going into her match with Ivelisse on Dynamite the following night. And then we had Robert Ego Anthony taking on none other than the returning Darby Allin. This was a damn good match right here, and I said it once, I'll say it again, I would definitely sign Robert Anthony. I love Robert Anthony. Allin was staring down Taz, who was on commentary. Anthony was pushing Darby Allin, screaming, "Fight me." Darby came in like a house of fire. Swift code red for a 2 before Anthony regained control. Suplex on the floor. Surfboard stretch. And then Anthony used the momentum and boosted Darby Allin up with his feet. And Darby Allin planted face first on the mat. That looked good. Allin ended up hitting the coffin drop while Anthony was standing on the apron, over the top stunner, and a coffin drop in the ring for a win. Quick match, but it was damn good. And then afterwards, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage came out and laid waste to Darby Allin. Ricky Starks is now a part of Taz's brand. Now, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, they're polar opposites, but it's actually a very intriguing scenario. I definitely wouldn't mind them in a business partnership with Taz. I can definitely see them in the tag team division. And it would be a nice interim. It would be a nice interim program for Brian Cage to be in this partnership with Ricky Starks. It can get Ricky Starks in the spotlight. You can definitely tell that they got investment in Ricky Starks. And Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in the tag team division, I think that would be a very interesting scenario before we eventually get Brian Cage vying for a TNT championship or a world championship. I think that would be very cool. So we have the main event, which was the Butcher and the Blade taking on Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon. This was another damn good match. Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler. They have been carrying AEW Dark, and this partnership, I am really liking this partnership, and when they eventually get a win, I think it's going to be a very, 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 very good scenario for both individuals. And I do hope that we do see Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon as an underdog tag team. I think this is the best possible move for both of them. So we had Cutler coming in with a springboard flying forearm for a 2. Butcher and the Blade, they isolated Cutler. Butcher and the Blade with a double suplex to Cutler. And Avalon, we had Avalon tagging in to Cutler. Slingshot leg drop to the Blade for a 2. Tope to the Blade and to the Butcher. We had a tag to Avalon. We had a Tope Con Hero tag as Brandon Cutler tagged in as he was going over the top. He took out the Blade. Or no, he took out the Butcher. And then Avalon with a beautiful frog splash to the Blade for a close 2 count. That was a very nice sequence. Then we had Avalon getting taken out by the Butcher. Or Avalon taking out the Butcher after he hit the Blade with a book. And then the Butcher took Avalon out, and then we had full death on Cutler for the win, leading into the Butcher and the Blade's Falls Count Anywhere match with the Young Bucks on Dynamite. Pretty much outside of Robert Anthony and Darby Allin in the main event, another enhancement episode of AEW Dark. Nothing too crazy. We got 12 episodes, actually. Not 12 episodes, 12 matches, actually, next week on AEW Dark. So I'm really just going to hold off at least until we get the crowds back. That is really going to be the deciding factor on the quality of AEW Dark. Because of the fact that right now they can't really do too much because of the simple fact that there's a pandemic going on, they're limited, and they're using Dark right now just to enhance people's records. Standard episode, nothing too crazy outside of Darby Allin and Robert Anthony in the main event. Dynamite, however, Dynamite, excellent show. Much more excellent than Raw and SmackDown, that's for sure. Dynamite started off with Eddie Kingston versus Cody in a no DQ match for the TNT Championship. Eddie Kingston accepted the open challenge, and I loved the promo that Eddie Kingston cut, talking about how he grew up with alcoholics and junkies, said that Tony Khan is paying me to kick your ass, Cody. And he challenged Cody to a no DQ match. Cody accepted. Eddie Kingston, I think he may have probably cut the most effective 3-minute promo of the year. That was spectacular stuff right there. This was a very, very, very good no disqualification match right here. It's only went about 10 minutes, but it was damn good right here. We had Kingston Kingston got whipped. He whipped Cody, excuse me. He whipped Cody with his weight belt. He then exposed the concrete before Cody slammed him on the concrete. Kingston regained control. Cody got turned inside out with a clothesline. Cody was selling his ass off for Kingston. Cody got hit with the low blow. Kingston suckered him in. Kingston brought in a cloth bag, and thumbtacks were poured all over the ring. Kingston with a powerbomb to Cody on the thumbtacks. Cody fought back. He slapped Kingston over and over and over again, locked in the figure four, targeting the injured leg, and he got the win over Eddie Kingston in a very good no disqualification match. And let me tell you something. When it comes to Cody, I think we all need to start putting some respect on Cody's name. We all need to start putting some respect on Cody's name for making that championship prestigious as ever. Cody's been working his ass off. Cody's been working his ass off each and every single week, and he has been making people look great in return. And I know there's going to be some people out there trying to spew the, oh, Cody's just stroking his own dick. Or, oh, Cody's out there, he's beating everyone in the mid-card. You do realize that there's no shame in losing to a guy like Cody, right? You take a look at guys like Jungle Boy and Mark Quinn, Eddie Kingston, who isn't even employed by the company. Ricky Starks got himself a job. Next week, we're going to have Warhorse. You realize that Cody is bringing in these independent stars, and he's actually getting more eyes on these independent stars in these types of matches. So that way, after this pandemic is over, more independent wrestling companies will go forth and they'll hire these independent stars. Cody's boosting the name value of these stars. Oh, and by the way, the Sunny Kiss match, and I know I'm gonna have some people talking about the Sunny Kiss match. And I know some people are gonna say, oh, the Sunny Kiss match is one of the best matches that I've seen Cody fight in. It was a good match, but whether you like it or not, and I don't want to be that guy, but it's a fucking fact that the Sunny Kiss match, while it was a good match, it was only overhyped, and it was overglorified simply because of the fact that some low-life loser made some hideous, inexcusable comments towards Sunny Kiss and his sexuality. Inexcusable comments, no need for that, but if it weren't for those comments, then that match would not be as talked about as it was. It's overhyped and it was overglorified, just like Evolution. Evolution, overhyped and overglorified, whether you like it or not. It's a fact. Very good match here with Eddie Kingston. Moving on, we had AEW World Champion Jon Moxley addressing his victory. He says that he's going to do something, and when he says he's going to do something, he does it. He says, Taz made the right call, but next time, Brian Cage, I ain't letting go. So then we had MJF versus Griff Garrison. This was fucking hilarious. This is hilarious right here. We had MJF coming out. He took the microphone, mocking Griff Garrison, saying, Tell the world what Jungle Man's all about. He goes, that's not my name. My name is Griff Garrison. So MJF is like, my name is Griff Garrison. He's like, you couldn't graduate finger painting class. Only MJF could make that sound good. So MJF was like, hang on, we're getting off on the wrong foot. And he said, why don't you tell everyone what it's like to be in the ring with someone who's undefeated? And then Griff said, didn't you lose a tag team match at Fyter Fest? So then MJF hit him with the microphone, and MJF, he took the microphone midway through this match, and he's like, Griff, you said something that hurt my feelings, so I want you to tell everyone that I'm undefeated. So he's stepping on Griff Garrison's hand, and he puts the microphone in Griff Garrison's mouth, and Griff Garrison's going, ha, ha, ha. And MJF goes, I'm sorry, not the answer I was looking for. So then he's slapping Griff Garrison. Griff Garrison eventually says he's undefeated. He tried for the surprise win, but failed, and then a heat seeker, a modified pile driver off the ropes for the win. Fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I was laughing my ass off this entire match. MJF is fantastic. Enough said. MJF is your next world champion by All Out. There is no one else. There is nobody else. So Brian Cage and Taz came out afterwards to address what happened last week. Taz said it's been a difficult week. He said that he made a business decision to protect his investment. But Brian Cage is not wired to tap. And if he didn't tap, then Jon Moxley was going to tear the muscle off of the bone. Darby Allin eventually came out. Ricky Starks attacked Allin from behind. Cage and Starks attacked Allin and laid him out before Moxley came in with a barbed wire baseball bat to save Darby Allin. Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, the Deadly Draw, is coming in the summer. I already stated how I feel about that. I am very much looking forward to that. I think that the tournament itself is going to be a very nice way to bring in new women and get the spotlight on the women's division. Excuse me. No women's tag team titles, no. No women's tag team titles, though. It's not needed. So then we had the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Fight actually started in the kitchen. They were cutting meat, were the Butcher and the Blade, so they washed their hands, and then the fight began. Nick was powerbombed onto the meat cutting table. The brawl spilled into the concourse, the backstage area. We had Matt with a somersault plancha out of the back of the truck. So they placed the Butcher on the table, Matt with a senton out of the concession stands with a cookie platter. We had the Blade getting super kicked onto an escalator. Butcher and the Blade were on the receiving end of Matt's offense coming back from commercial. We had tables being brought out. The Blade, he missed the plancha. The Butcher with a crossbody to Matt through a table. Powerbomb neckbreaker combo to Matt on the ramp. Butcher and the Blade set up separate tables, but the Bucks jumped off of the entrance tunnels with stereo dives through the tables. They set up the Butcher and the Blade on the tables. Stereo dives, a senton, and an elbow drop through the tables for the win. Excellent, excellent Falls Count Anywhere match. Had a chaotic feel. They were creative, innovative, and the Butcher and the Blade, they look great. And the Young Bucks, they ended up getting the win, leading towards their eventual matchup with FTR, which I believe is taking place at All Out 2. So you got a lot of great stuff taking place at All Out 2. You're gonna have Moxley and MJF. You're gonna have Bryan Cage and Darby Allin. You're gonna have Young Bucks and FTR. Probably gonna have Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. That's a very nice lineup thus far. Cody and Scorpio Sky. So afterwards, we had Lance Archer in the back. So Jake Roberts was being interviewed as Lance Archer was beating up 3 random dudes. He threw one dude through the ceiling, threw another dude into the lockers, and then tossed another dude in the trash. This is like my new favorite thing. I could literally watch Lance Archer come out and just beat the shit out of random individuals and not get bored of it. That's like a running gag now. Who's Lance Archer going to beat the shit out of this week? I love this gimmick right now. And they're just biding their time with Lance Archer. I like that they're biding their time with Lance Archer. And this could very well lead to Lance Archer eventually going after a major guy, which I believe is going to be Jon Moxley, whether it be for the championship or without the championship. I think we could get Lance Archer and Jon Moxley by Full Gear to end 2020 for All Elite Wrestling. Diamante versus Ivelisse. Decent little match right here. None too crazy. Decent little match right here. This started out very intense. Stiff forearms, uppercuts, elbows. Both women unloading on each other with chops. Diamante came in with a German suplex for a 2. Ivelisse sit-out powerbomb for a 2. Diamante ended up winning with an inside cradle. Swift inside cradle for the win. Decent little match. Both women looked interesting. Interesting to say the least. They looked really good here. I think that if they continue to work with each other and they continue to work with the women in All Elite Wrestling, I think they're going to get better by the week. Diamante is actually in a match with Hikaru Shida next week for the, or not for the AEW Women's World Championship. It's actually non-title. We had Allen 5, number 5, Angels versus Adam Hangman Page. Adam Hangman Page ended up winning here with the big sit-out powerbomb. Dark Order ended up coming out. Brody Lee then offered Page a position in the Dark Order. And then Page says, I don't know if I'm ready to join a cult. Lee then said, you made your bed. Hope you enjoy your sleep. So he took Colt Cabana, went to the back. The Dark Order attacked Page before FTR came out to save Page. Omega came out too, but he was a little too late. So Hangman Page starting to drift a little bit more towards FTR. Seems as though Omega could be on the verge of turning heel here. Next week, we actually got Omega and Hangman versus the Dark Order for the AEW World Tag Team titles. I did not think they were going to do it this early. I thought that they were going to wait till All Out, but this right here, this is perfect. Dark Order's been undefeated this year. This is the perfect opportunity to pull the trigger. The spark that ignites the breakup between Hangman and Omega, it starts with them losing the titles. It's going to start with them losing the titles, and it's going to come at the hands of the Dark Order. If the Dark Order do not win the tag team titles next week, huge missed opportunity. The Dark Order is the perfect team for Omega and Page to drop the World Tag Team titles to. The Dark Order need to win next week. If they don't win, I am going to say it was a huge missed opportunity. Huge missed opportunity if the Dark Order do not win. They have been on a roll this year. Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, they have won 7-8 matches this year alone. Now it's time for you to pull the trigger on them. Give the Dark Order the tag team titles. Then you can start the breakup between Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, thus leading to a match at All Out. So you have that match at All Out to go along with Moxley and MJF, Young Bucks and FTR. You're going to have Cody and Scorpio Sky perhaps for the TNT Championship. You're going to have Brian Cage and Darby Allin. Great lineup for All Out. Fantastic lineup for All Out. So, I will pull the trigger on the Dark Order next week. Give the Dark Order the tag team titles next week. Then we got Hikaru Shida and Diamante. Cody's defending the TNT Championship against Warhorse. We also have a Tornado tag team match. Moxley and Darby Allin taking on Cage and Starks. Tornado tag team match. Big episode of Dynamite next week. And in the main event, we had Jurassic Express taking on Le Champion, Chris Jericho, and the Big Hurt, Jake Hager. So Jungle Boy, he came in, and he got a near-fall roll-up on Jericho, swinging flatliner for a 2. Jericho regained control going into commercial. Luchasaurus got the hot tag, swift kicks to Hager and Jericho. Jungle Boy with a Hurricane Rana to Santana and Ortiz, or taking out Santana. He Hurricane Rana'd Santana onto Ortiz. Serpentico ended up hitting Luchasaurus in the leg, and then a codebreaker by Jericho for the win. We had a very good tag team match here, and then afterwards, Serpentico and the Inner Circle beat down Jurassic Express, and Sammy Guevara was revealed to be Serpentico. The Spanish God is back, and I could not be happier. Great stuff here. Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends ended up coming out and running off saving Jurassic Express, actually, and a 10-man tag was made for next week. Very happy to see Sammy Guevara back. Sammy Guevara served his sentence, even though the entire situation was blown out of proportion, whether you like it or not. If you're still calling for Sammy Guevara to be fired, and if you're still going off of this lame-ass excuse, oh, Sasha Banks never accepted Sammy Guevara's apology, it was implied, you fucking idiot. Please. Sasha Banks would not have put out that statement if she didn't accept his apology. Just because she didn't say, oh, I accept his apology word for word, doesn't mean that she didn't accept his apology. You people are fucking dumb. You're dumb. You really are. Trying to put Sammy Guevara's situation on the same level as what happened with Velveteen Dream and Joey Ryan and Marty Scurll and Travis Banks and Ligero. You can't put Sammy Guevara's situation on the same level as what those guys did. Two different scenarios. There's a difference between saying a vulgar, disgusting, stupid thing on a podcast versus actually doing a vulgar, disgusting, inexcusable action, physically assaulting someone, or sexually assaulting someone. You can't put Sammy Guevara's situation on the same level as what happened with those guys. If you do, you're a fucking idiot. You really are. But Dynamite, excellent, excellent, excellent show. Great stuff. Absolutely loved it. NXT was also a very good show as well. Outside of the Robert Stone bullshit. Robert Stone. I got a lot to say about Robert Stone. Don't even get me started there. William Regal. He had an announcement to kick off the show. And he gave Keith Lee the floor. And he said that he's relinquishing the North American Championship And there's going to be a series of triple threat qualifying matches taking place over the course of the next few weeks that will determine who will compete in a ladder match at NXT TakeOver 30 on August 22nd, where a new North American champion will be crowned. Could you really have made it any more obvious that you merely just did that double championship match at the Great American Bash on July 8th, counter-program Fyter Fest Night 2, which was originally supposed to have Brian Cage and Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship? Could you make it any more obvious that you booked the Great American Bash, period, to counter-program All Elite Wrestling? So, you have Keith Lee become a double champion, and he becomes the first man in history to hold both the NXT Championship and the NXT North American Championship, and you have him relinquish one of those championships in 2 weeks. And don't give me the excuse, Keith Lee was never going to defend both championships. Keith Lee is a believable guy in that position that you could have booked long-term. If you were not going to book Keith Lee long-term as a double champion, then you should not have had him win the titles to begin with. And this is what I don't like about NXT right now. It's the fact that they are booking their show based off of what the other company is doing. I don't even think you realize that if you start booking your show based off of what another company is doing, that's going to hamper down the quality of your own show. And that's exactly what happened here. You have Keith Lee become the first man in history to hold both NXT Singles Championships. And now, one of them's gone. Keith Lee was in the midst of the best North American Championship reign in its inception thus far. I said it numerous amounts of times. Keith Lee was the best North American champion to date. And that championship reign isn't even going to get a proper send-off. That championship reign isn't even going to get a proper ending. Keith Lee isn't even going to get the opportunity to put someone else over and have that legitimacy and credibility transfer from Keith Lee to that person, and that person now has the North American Championship. But no, you're going to have Keith Lee relinquish the North American Championship, so he's relinquished one championship, and he's about to lose the other championship in a matter of weeks to someone who doesn't even need the championship to begin with. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying, don't get me wrong. The ladder match is going to be great. The ladder match is going to be great. I'm happy that we're seeing guys like Bronson Reed and possibly Timothy Thatcher and Dexter Lumis. I'm happy that those guys are getting the opportunity. Those guys deserve the opportunity. They're fantastic at what they do. I am very interested in seeing what Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are going to do. Don't get me wrong. That's a King Kong versus Godzilla-like clash. I'm very interested in seeing what they're going to produce come TakeOver 30. But after TakeOver 30 goes off the air, that win on July 8th at the Great American Bash, that win is going to be rendered meaningless. It's going to mean nothing because it resulted in nothing. Instead of building Keith Lee up over the course of 4, 5, 6 months with both championships and having him lose one of the championships, having him lose the North American title to a Dominik Dijakovic or a Damian Priest, Dexter Lumis, Timothy Thatcher, Bronson Reed, instead of doing that and actually building up a new star, using Keith Lee to build up a new star and using Keith Lee to carry the brand as a double champion, you have him relinquish one championship just to get a ladder match on TakeOver's card, and now you're going to have him lose the other championship in a matter of weeks to Karrion Kross, and he's going to have the second shortest NXT championship reign in its history. Keith Lee is worth so much more than that. If you were not going to book him long-term as a double champion, then you should not have booked him to win the titles to begin with. You shouldn't have booked the match, period. And if you had to book the match, then you should have done what I said and had Karrion Kross interfere. That way, Karrion Kross could have attacked Keith Lee because Keith Lee smashed the hourglass. You would have gotten Keith Lee and Karrion Kross for the North American Championship at TakeOver 30. Karrion Kross would have won the North American title. Keith Lee could have had a proper send-off for that championship. And then you could have had Finn Balor and Adam Cole at TakeOver 30. Longest reigning NXT champion versus second longest reigning NXT champion. Adam Cole retains. Then you could have built up Keith Lee to take the title off of Adam Cole in the fall. And Keith Lee could have had a legitimate reign as NXT champion going into the new year. But no, instead you booked NXT, and you booked the show simply to counter-program Fyter Fest, and you had Keith Lee win 2 championships, ultimately to relinquish one, and he's about to lose the other one in a month. It's not about how many times you hold the championship. It's not about just that one singular moment. It's what you do in the long run. It's what you do in the long term. It's about how long you hold the championship. It's about how many people you defend the championship against. That's why I said that Keith Lee had the best North American Championship reign to date, because he held it long term, and he was defending it against 4, 5, 6, 7 people. He's defending it against Dominik Dijakovic, Cameron Grimes, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Finn Balor. That's why Keith Lee had a great North American Championship reign. What are people going to remember about Keith Lee's NXT Championship title reign? All people are going to remember is, oh, he won both championships, he relinquished one championship, and then he was a transitional champion for Karrion Kross, who doesn't even need the NXT Championship to begin with. Karrion Kross doesn't even need NXT. And that's why I am not surprised. I'm really not surprised. Vince McMahon is rumored to have taken over NXT. There is nothing that anyone can say to me that is going to not convince me that Vince McMahon is not behind Karrion Kross's push. Karrion Kross is being pushed specifically because of Vince McMahon, because of his size. He has had 5 matches in NXT, and already he's in contention for the NXT Championship. Outside of that, it was a great episode of NXT, don't get me wrong. I just fucking hate the fact that now that win is going to be rendered meaningless. That win is going to mean nothing after TakeOver 30 goes off the air. Keith Lee is worth so much more than relinquishing the North American title and being a transitional NXT champion for a guy that doesn't even need the title. I don't get it. We had Dexter Lumis and Killian Dane. This was a damn good match right here. This was a damn good match right here. We had Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis was on the receiving end of vicious chops and forearms from Dane, but Lumis just absorbed them. Lumis just absorbed the blows. So Lumis then caught Dane with a big spine buster. I love Dexter Lumis' spine buster. Big clothesline and a bulldog, belly-to-belly suplex, and a kip-up, and a backwards leg drop for a 2 by Dexter Lumis. Dude, Lumis is a very fluid kip-up. So Dane with a drop kick, cannonball, powerbomb, and elbow drop for a 2. Lumis with a beautiful swanton bomb, channeling his inner Jeff Hardy. You make Jeff Hardy proud right here. Beautiful swanton bomb. The beautiful motion of Dexter Lumis with that swanton bomb. And then Lumis locked in the silence, and Dane passes out. I like that he did not tap, he passed. Storytelling right there, living up to his character. Dexter Lumis wins a damn good match right here, and Dexter Lumis is advancing next week to face off in a triple threat match against Finn Balor and Timothy Thatcher. Everrise versus Breezango. Breezango came out dressed as the Mounties. They always get their men. I actually, now the match itself, it was meaningless. It was just a regular squash match. So Breezango, they get the win. They get the win easily. But I love the fact that Breezango is allowed to pitch these creative ideas and go out there and actually put them to use. This is actually a case of comedy done right. You see, I always say that comedy is rarely done right in professional wrestling, but this is comedy done right. This was hilarious. Mountie, I'm handsome, I'm brave, I'm strong. They even had the theme song. They even had the Mounties theme song. This is hilarious. Breezango gets the win here. Swerve was being interviewed, and he actually called out Santos Escobar as the only man to beat him. And you know what? I would love to see Swerve and Escobar. Very nice matchup right there. Very intriguing matchup right there. I definitely hope we get Swerve and Escobar in a Cruiserweight Championship match very, very soon. So we had Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano versus Roderick Strong, North American Championship ladder match qualifier. This was a great triple threat match right here, and this is really going to make the North American Championship prestigious again after it was pretty much just vacated, and Lee deemed the NXT Championship more important. No matter what Keith Lee wants to spew and what WWE wants to spin, the problem is that championship, it was on Keith Lee and it was in the spotlight, and now it's not in the spotlight anymore because apparently Keith Lee wants to give opportunity. Meanwhile, it's WWE saying, yeah, we don't know how to book a double champion. That's pretty much it. So, Bronson Reed, he was in control. Strong with the leg lariat on Reed. Tope by Gargano on Reed. And then Strong with a backbreaker on Gargano for a 2. Big Olympic slam on Reed. And they don't call him Roderick Strong for nothing. I'm sorry, that was terrible. Reed with a suicide dive taking out both men. Bronson Reed, the fact that he's able to do a suicide dive. Great. Reed with a double Samoan drop on both men at the same time. Gargano then dodged Strong coming off the top. Poison Rana to Reed. Yes, Reed took a Poison Rana. When a guy like that is taking a Poison Rana, I'm legitimately afraid for that guy's life. I'm legitimately afraid for that guy's life. I would not want to be on the receiving end of a Poison Rana. No matter how big I am, no matter how small I am, there's no way to make that move look safe. There is no way to make that move look safe. So, we had a super kick to Strong by Gargano. Powerbomb by Gargano to Reed on the floor. Reed was taken out of the equation momentarily. Strong with the Cloud 9, but Gargano kicked out. We had a big Fireman's Carry Gutbuster. One final beat, but Reed came in out of nowhere like he was skydiving out of a plane. Gargano went for the cover. Reed with the big splash. Gargano's hand got crushed between Reed and Strong. Reed then pinned Strong for the win. A great match here on NXT, and Reed advances to NXT TakeOver 30 to face off against 4 other superstars in a ladder match for the North American Championship. I am very happy that Bronson Reed is getting this opportunity. He definitely deserves it. Gargano, he is not going to be in a championship match. He's going to be facing off against Finn Balor, and Johnny Gargano is going to get his vengeance on Finn Balor because they teased that at the Great American Bash. Shotzi Blackheart versus Aaliyah. Shotzi pretty much won here. Shotzi won here with the senton. She ran over Stone's foot, and then Mercedes Martinez came out and punted the shit out of Shotzi Blackheart. Mercedes Martinez came in and punt kicked Shotzi Blackheart square in the jaw. Looked brutal. And apparently Mercedes Martinez has now joined the Robert Stone brand. I can name you, and my man Blue Riot, he's actually writing for Bodyslam.net. He's actually writing for Bodyslam.net. Big congrats to you. My podcast partner, Blue Riot. Let me tell you something, man. You're a great guy. You're a great guy. And I think you're one of the nicest individuals I think I've ever met off of the app, but please do not be telling me that Robert Stone's great. We're gonna have to have a talk. Robert Stone's great. We're gonna have to have a talk. I can tell you a brand. I'll tell you a brand that everyone wants to be a part of. I can name you a brand that is 1 billion times better than the Robert Stone brand, and that's the DJ Storms brand. DJ Storms brand superior to the Robert Stone brand. Timothy Thatcher and Oney Lorcan, they had this again. Very good mat-based fight. Very good mat-based fight. Timothy Thatcher ended up getting the win here with a roll-up when Oney Lorcan was locking in a submission hold on Thatcher. Thatcher ended up getting the win over Oney Lorcan. I got no problem with Timothy Thatcher getting the win. Very nice mat-based fight. But why is Oney Lorcan in the singles division right now? Why isn't Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch being built up to take the titles off of Imperium? That's another thing that NXT has started to show. Vince McMahon has clearly shown his lack of care for tag team wrestling on the main roster. Now, it is starting to seep into NXT. And clearly you can tell that Vince McMahon does not care about tag team wrestling. That's another thing. That's how you know Vince McMahon is starting to take over. Vince McMahon does not care. Doesn't care about tag team wrestling. Imperium haven't been seen since their title defense against Breezango. I don't even know if we're going to have a tag team title match at TakeOver 25. So, as I stated, we have Loomis, Balor, and Thatcher next week. In the main event, we had Karrion Kross versus Dominic Dijakovic. This was a beautiful match that told a beautiful story. This was beautifully produced, excellently done by not just Kross, not just Dijakovic, but Keith Lee as well. Keith Lee was involved in this, not physically, but he was involved in it emotionally. And I'll explain how. So we had Kross getting knocked out of the ring by Dijakovic with a stiff right forearm. These two were laying in the heavy leather. They were stiff in on each other here. So Dijakovic with a stiff kick to Kross. Kross with a right kick and a DDT spiking Dijakovic right on his head. So then we had a Doomsday Saito by Kross. Dijakovic mounted a comeback, big back elbow, and a big suplex toss, choke bomb for 2. A big tope con hero by Dominic Dijakovic. Before Kross took over, he put Dijakovic's head in between the post and the bottom of the steps, and he kicked the steps into Dijakovic's head. Dijakovic was out. Dijakovic was selling his ass off. Kross picked up Dijakovic and dragged him back into the ring. Lee then came out. Lee came out, and he was in Dijakovic's corner. And Dijakovic, he was looking over at Lee. He's like, no, don't do anything. No, Lee. No, Keith. Do not stop it. This is my call. Dijakovic said, no, do not do it. It's my call. Dijakovic legitimately said, no, don't do anything. And Mauro Ranallo was playing up the fact, when do we save Dijakovic from himself? When do we save a man from himself? Karrion Kross, and I love what he did right here. So after Dijakovic said, no, this is my call, Karrion Kross dragged Dijakovic back to the floor, and he took his forearm, and you heard the fucking pop when his forearm hit Dijakovic's face. And after his forearm hit Dijakovic's face, he hit Dijakovic in the face, and he stuck his forearm in his face and raked his forearm all across the side of his face while he was looking at Keith Lee. Keith Lee's number one frenemy having his face raked by the forearm of Karrion Kross. Just these vicious shots, raking the forearm across the face, shoving it right in Keith Lee's face. Dijakovic still said, no, Keith, no, it's my call. And then Kross locked in the cross jacket, and I love what Karrion Kross did. Karrion Kross locked in the cross jacket, stared right into Keith Lee's eyes and screamed, look at it, look at it. And Keith Lee had to watch as Dominic Dijakovic passed out to the cross jacket. Kross wins via TKO. This was excellent. Excellent. I loved every single minute of this. And Keith Lee then slid into the ring, and he stared down Karrion Kross as Karrion Kross and Scarlett left. Excellent episode of NXT outside of the Robert Stone bullshit, as per usual. Excellent main event. Beautiful storytelling. Again, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are going to do. I can't wait to see the match between Bronson Reed, possibly Dexter Lumis in there, Timothy Thatcher in there. I can't wait to see the ladder match. But again, I hate the fact that they just did that moment at the Great American Bash between Lee and Cole. I hate that they ended Adam Cole's championship reign just for Keith Lee to be a transitional champion and him to relinquish the North American Championship. I hate that. That's lazy. It's lazy and it's terrible booking. But outside of that, NXT was awesome. SmackDown, I wish I could say the same thing. SmackDown was nothing more than a 2-highlight show. Sasha and Bayley, they kicked off the show. So they implied that they are the new definition of greatness. Sasha says that the women's evolution starts and ends with them. No matter how hard that the people try, they will never be as good as Sasha and Bayley. Nikki Cross came out. She's raging. She said she wanted Bayley again. But Bayley said it's Bliss and Cross right now, and the winner faces Bayley next week. Now, it's the same bullshit with Sasha, Bayley, Alexa, and Cross. It's been the same bullshit between all of these individuals for however many fucking months now. It's been the same bullshit between Cross, Bliss, Sasha, and Bayley. But, if this is the start of the breakup between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, I am all for it. I'm all for it. I have been wanting them to break up for a year now. They should have never even been a tag team to begin with. Alexa Bliss is a cancer. Alexa Bliss is a disease. I don't care whether you're a fan of her or not. I don't give a shit. Alexa Bliss is not a good professional wrestler. That is fact. That is a fact. That is truth. That is reality. Not opinion. That is truth. That is factual evidence. There's factual evidence to prove it. Factual evidence to prove it. She's sloppy. She's uncoordinated. And you take a look at this match with Nikki Cross, she half-assed it. She half-assed this entire match. Alexa Bliss half-assed everything, so that doesn't surprise me there. But I'm very disappointed in Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross herself, she needs to go back down to NXT and find the Nikki Cross that brought Asuka to the limit. I am one wondering where's the Nikki Cross that was involved in the Aleister Black Attacker storyline back in late 2018. And she was putting on great matches with Bianca Belair. I don't know where that Nikki Cross went. I want the Scottish psychopath Nikki Cross. This Nikki Cross is one of the worst versions of Nikki Cross, of a women's professional wrestler that I think I've ever seen. She's been playing second fiddle to Alexa Bliss for a year now. She's been playing second fiddle to Alexa Bliss for a year now, and her character's done a complete 180 without any explanation. Alexa Bliss, disease, cancer. Get her far away from a ring and don't come back. These two women half-assed this entire match. I did not take any notes on this match. I did not care about this match at all. Very disappointed in Nikki Cross. I'm not disappointed in Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss has always been a disappointment. Alexa Bliss is a disappointment as a whole, so that's already implied. Disappointment with Alexa Bliss is already implied, but Nikki Cross, very, 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 very disappointed in her, and I guarantee, Alexa Bliss, I have to say this, I said this last night, Alexa Bliss wrestles like a pussy. She really does. She wrestles like someone who's afraid to get hurt. She wrestles like someone who's afraid to actually take a bump. If you're not going to take bumps, if you're not going to sell properly, and you're afraid to actually fight, then get out of the fucking ring. But yet there's some people that are going to say that Alexa Bliss is a great heel. There's some people that are going to try any possible thing. They're going to say any possible thing to justify Alexa Bliss's trashy abilities within the ring. Nikki wins with a surprise roll-up, and we get Bayley and Cross next week for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. We actually got 2 championship matches next week. Why? Because of the simple fact that WWE, they're desperate for ratings, so they're going to put championship matches and pay-per-view quality matches on SmackDown and Raw to try and boost up the ratings. Firefly Funhouse. This is actually a fun little episode of the Firefly Funhouse right here. We had them replaying the Swamp Fight. The Swamp Fight was terrible, but Bray Wyatt, he said the family reunion warmed his heart. And then he started talking to his lantern, and he says, "Oh, I can't let you out again. You had your turn. Now, it's his turn. He has been unleashed." Him being the Fiend. So now we are going to get the Fiend and Braun Strowman at SummerSlam, and hopefully the Fiend wins back the Universal Championship. Matt Riddle and Tony Nese. This went 2 minutes. Riddle wins with the Bro Derek. In-ring competition between two superstars who are active competitors on the roster. That should be going no less than 10 minutes. I cannot stand these squash matches between a person who is up on the rise and a person who has been with the company for a while and he's being treated like an enhancement talent. Tony Nese should not be losing to anyone in 2 minutes. So Riddle took the mic, said, "King Corbin, I'm calling you out, bro." Corbin said, "You don't belong and you're not ready." Riddle said that you're just another star on the Bro Show. Nice tried to attack Riddle, but Riddle caught him with a big kick to the side of the face. And that was that. I don't know where this is going. I really don't care, to be quite honest with you. Riddle, I can only hope that Riddle's going to be built up over the course of the next few months, and he's going to get that rematch with Styles, and he eventually wins. And Riddle takes the title off of Styles. Here's what I don't understand, and I'm going to talk about that I'm going to talk about it more when we get to the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship, #1 contender spot. Why did you book Matt Riddle and AJ Styles last week if you were going to have Matt Riddle take a loss, only for him to go into a feud with Corbin? Why didn't you just have Matt Riddle face off against Tony Nese last week, and Matt Riddle beats Tony Nese, and then you could have built towards the feud with Baron Corbin? So Naomi, she was on Miz TV. So Miz and Morrison, they were talking about the hashtag Naomi deserves better movement, which I'm not going to get into a conversation. I'm not going to get into a conversation with myself here about Booker T, and I'm not going to rant and rave about Booker T and his idiotic comments, because I'm telling you, if I do right here on the LFU, you're going to see a vein go bing right out of my forehead. It's not good for my intestinal disease that I got. Stress makes it worse. Although I stress myself out numerous amounts of times anyway when I talk about any form of professional wrestling, specifically Raw and SmackDown. I stress myself out all the time when I talk about Raw and SmackDown here on the LFU. But I could do without Booker T. I trust me, I am in agreement with everyone on social media that is calling Booker T an idiot. Booker T is a moron. But Miz and Morrison were questioned by Naomi. Naomi saying that the fans have stuck with her through the good and the bad because she's worked hard for 9 damn years. Naomi cut an excellent promo, I will say. Lacey Evans was then introduced as a special guest. Lacey was doing her makeup, and then Naomi kicked the lipstick into Lacey Evans' teeth. Brawl broke out, and that was it. Naomi stood tall, with Miz and Morrison dancing like idiots in the background. Naomi cut an awesome promo, that I will say. Facts, truth, reality, all spewing from Naomi's mouth. That is something that we can all agree with. However, the fact that they're blatantly bringing the hashtag Naomi deserves better movement to light, that they're blatantly saying it on Miz TV, they're making fun of it. They're making fun of it. They're making fun of the people that watch the show. They're making fun of the people that created the hashtag, and they're making fun of Naomi. They're blatantly making fun of Naomi and this entire movement to deserve better, and they're literally shoving it back in everyone's face that, oh yeah, you think that we're gonna treat Naomi better. Yeah, we'll treat her right for about 4 weeks until this hashtag dies down. Guarantee you, in 4 weeks after SummerSlam, Naomi could possibly get a SmackDown Live Women's Championship match against Bayley. Fine. She'll probably get that. She's probably going to lose. And then after SummerSlam, once the movement dies down, once the movement is over, they're not going to care. And they're not going to listen to a damn word that anyone is saying. The hashtag Give Divas a Chance, Daniel Bryan and his movement, they were lucky. That was pure luck right there. The Give Divas a Chance movement, pure luck right there. Daniel Bryan getting into WrestleMania 30, pure luck right there. I don't think Naomi's going to have the same luck. Kofi Mania, pure luck. I don't think Naomi's going to have the same luck. And it sucks. It really does suck. But they were blatantly mocking the hashtag, and the company was blatantly mocking the entire audience. They were making fun of their audience with the Naomi deserves better. The fact that they brought it to light pretty much says that they are going to run with this for 4 weeks, and then once the hashtag dies down, it's over. Kofi was being interviewed in the back, or Kofi was being examined by the trainers. Big E was waiting. Kofi said he's going to be out 6 weeks, maybe even more. But Kofi told Big E that maybe this is a sign. Maybe the universe is trying to tell us something. Woods is out. I'm about to be out, spend some time with the family, which is good. I think it's time to show the world what Big E can do. And the New Day, Woods and Kofi, Gave Big E their blessing. I have been calling this for years now. New Day should have broken up after the feud with the Usos in 2017 ended. New Day should have broken up then. There's no reason that New Day are 8-time tag team champions. New Day are undoubtedly the Charlotte Flair of the tag team division. There's no reason for the New Day to be 8-time tag team champions in such a short amount of time. There's no reason why the New Day should have remained as a unit after that feud with the Usos. New Day had gone as far as they can go. After the feud with the Usos, that was the last vital storyline that the New Day was a part of. That was the last vital storyline that the New Day had been a part of that was universally praised by everyone. After that, they were involved in a bunch of interim storylines that resulted in them winning the tag team titles, losing them to a team, winning them back, losing them, winning them back, losing them, winning them back, losing them, and winning them back. Woods and Kofi, they need to do their own thing. I would love to see Woods in the mid-card. I would love to see Xavier Woods possibly in the Cruiserweight division, fighting Santos Escobar and Isaiah Swerve Scott, Drake Maverick. I would love to see that. I'd love to see Kofi as the underdog babyface that we all know and love. But Big E, he's got it all. He's got it all to succeed, and I would love to see Big E in a main event singles heel role. I said that Big E, he would have been the perfect candidate to take the title off of Kofi Kingston when Kofi Kingston was a WWE champion. Big E, as a heel, fighting Kofi for the WWE Championship, that could have been a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa-like feud right there. But they didn't go that route, and they decided to have Brock Lesnar win the WWE Championship just so they could put over Drew McIntyre. Big E as a singles guy. This is interesting. And on top of that, breaking up the New Day, this could offer opportunity to guys like Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party in the tag team division. You can make some new tag teams in the division. I'd love to see a new tag team get brought up. You could create a new tag team. I wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that whatsoever. You could do a new tag team like Gable and Gulak. They're two very mat-based wrestlers. I definitely wouldn't mind that. And on top of that, it opens up the door for new baby faces. Kofi and Big E in the singles division as baby faces. Big E possibly fighting the Fiend for the Universal Championship, or AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. I would love to see Big E versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam as a nice interim feud, because Styles shouldn't be losing the Intercontinental Championship anytime soon. I'd love to see Big E and Styles for the Intercontinental Championship there. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Kofi in the singles division fighting guys like Matt Riddle and AJ Styles. I'd love to see Big E fighting guys like Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. That's some good stuff right there. Good stuff. So I cannot wait to see what they do with Big E as a singles guy. This is a big opportunity for Big E, and I really, really, really hope, I definitely hope that it's going to become a permanent thing. Drew Gulak versus Chad Gable versus Gran Metalik versus Lince Dorado. Number one contenders match. See who would face Styles next week. Don't get me wrong, the match was great. But I really don't understand why you're putting these four guys in the ring just randomly to fight Styles next week, and you're trying to get a championship match on television next week for the simple fact that you want to boost some ratings. The match was great, don't get me wrong. I thought Chad Gable was going to win this, considering that he was on a 3-match winning streak, but they went in and they had Gran Metalik win this. And look, I'm all for pushing new stars. That's great. But you need to build them up. You need to build them up with a string of wins. And everyone, a lot of people in the community, including myself, we're all in the same boat when we say that wins and losses need to start mattering in the WWE. We're all in agreement here. Whether you're a bigger content creator than me, whether you're a smaller content creator than me, we're all in the same boat right here. We're all coming together collectively as a community, and we're saying that wins and losses need to start mattering in the WWE. Don't get me wrong, it was a great match right here. Gran Metalik with a Hurricane Rana to Gulak to the floor. Metalik missile drop kick to Gable. Metalik with a suicide dive and a big moonsault by Gable, taking out the field. Springboard double back elbow by Gran Metalik. Lince Dorado with a springboard moonsault. Crossbody to Gulak for a 2. Golden Rewind was broken up by Metalik. Gable came in, suplexes to the Lucha House Party and to Gulak. Gable with an ankle lock. Dorado came in with a big splash, but Gable kicked out. Super German suplex to Dorado. Metalik with a huge elbow off the top for the win. Great match here. Now we get AJ Styles and Grand Metalik next week for the Intercontinental title. It's going to be a good match, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, they need to start building up a solid mid-card. Then we had Jeff Hardy and Sheamus in the bar fight. This was actually the best thing on the show. This was excellent. This was an excellent bar fight. We had both men playing their roles very, very well. This was, and a lot of people, including myself, was tweeting that it was better than the Swamp fight. And it was. It was. We had Jeff Hardy sitting down with Sheamus. And Sheamus came in with a white t-shirt, suspenders, and a top hat. So we had the bartender, Jeeves. He was cleaning some cups, and he was pouring some drinks. So Sheamus and Hardy came in, and Jeff threw what looked to resemble whiskey, although it looked a little bit more towards, it looked like apple juice or iced tea. I'm not sure what specifically it was, but we had Jeff Hardy throwing that at Sheamus after they had a conversation. So the ref was only there to count to 3. Sheamus started pounding on Jeff Hardy's chest, 10 beats of the Bowdrin type style. Jeff Hardy dove off the bar with a flying clothesline. Sheamus and Hardy brawled into the back. Sheamus hit Hardy with a keg. Brawl spilled into the bathroom. Sheamus then put Jeff Hardy in a urinal and flushed the urinal screaming, "I'll cleanse you of your demons." So then Hardy was hiding in the closet. Sheamus walked out of the bathroom, and this was actually a creative spot right here. Jeff Hardy pulled a ladder out of the broom closet, the cleaning closet, hit Sheamus with it repeatedly. Sheamus then tried to hit Hardy with a guitar, but Hardy moved out of the way. He then threw Jeff Hardy into a set of drums. Hardy then hit the Twist of Fate after he recovered. Hardy set up the ladder, but the bartender, Jeeves, got involved. Hardy then powerbombed him through a table. Sheamus hit Hardy with a stool. Sheamus put his hat over Jeff Hardy and then poured himself a drink. Chugged it, enjoyed it. Took the hat off Jeff Hardy. Said, "Ref, get ready." Jeff Hardy was wearing face paint. White and black face paint with creepy contacts. Jeff Hardy then took over control and hit a swanton off of the ladder for the win. And Jeff Hardy ends the feud with Sheamus. Jeff Hardy gains momentum. Jeff Hardy is now on a winning streak. Jeff Hardy defeats Sheamus in the bar fight in an excellent match. I gotta praise both men. Kudos to both men. They got creative. It was innovative. It was fun. It fit the environment. And they did a lot more than Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt did in that swamp fight. And now, Jeff Hardy, he almost reminded me of Will-O-the-Wisp. A lot of people, I saw people up and down my Twitter timeline saying, "Hey, this is Will-O-the-Wisp." So it seems as though Jeff Hardy now has his own personal weapon to fight the Fiend with when they eventually fight for the Universal Championship. So we're going to get Jeff Hardy and the Fiend for the Universal Championship, and Jeff Hardy's going to channel his Impact days, his TNA wrestling days, and Will-O-the-Wisp, Willow, is going to be fighting the Fiend for the Universal Championship. I would love that. I definitely would not mind that. But outside of the bar fight, really, it was another standard episode of SmackDown. Boring, terrible. 205 Live, if you even care. Quick results: Drake Maverick defeated Leon Ruff, and Mansoor, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch defeated Everrise and Tahuti Miles, and that is that. One last sip, or gulp. Got a piece of ice there. That was perfect. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash update. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. Till next time, I am DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash update. I will catch you guys next week for another edition of the Lightning Flash update. I will keep you guys updated on any future collaborations. I got a lot of collaborations coming. I collaborated with ECW Chris 2408. The link to his channel is in the description. Go check out the interview with me, yours truly, giving you an insight on the man behind the character. And on top of that, I do have a collaboration set for mid-August, actually. I will be appearing on Apron Bump Podcast, where me and the hardest part of the ring, yes, that is the man that runs the podcast. He's called the hardest part of the ring. Him and I, we're going to be dissecting Judgment Day 2001. Should be a fun time there. I can't wait to do that. But till next time, I'm DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash update. You guys have an awesome weekend. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Keep you guys updated on any collaborations and any new content coming up. And that's pretty much it. You guys have an awesome weekend.